Okay. Good evening and welcome to the City of Angels City Council meeting for October 15th, 2019. It's 6:05 and if you could please stand for the pledge. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mayor Hollendorf,
Here.
Vice Mayor Olivera,
Here.
Councilmember Herman,
Here.
Councilmember Matilde,
Here.
Councilmember Grolio,
Here.
all are present and holding the quorum.
Next is public comment. Is there any public comment? Nope. Okay. Next on the item, let me back up. Approval of the agenda. Is there any council member that wishes to pull or add anything to the current agenda?
None here.
Any?
Madam Mayor, I just wanted to tell the public that this staff report that goes with closed session item
Consent.
C.
Consent.
I'm sorry, consent
Consent.
item C is on the table for anyone in the public who would like it.
Thank you. Is there any public comment on the agenda? Okay, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Joe and then Alvin. All in favor?
Aye.
5-0. Public comment? Nope. Okay, there's no public comment. Next on the agenda is report out of closed session. Earlier this evening, council had a closed session regarding with conference with labor negotiators regarding the public works foreman. At this time, direction was given to staff. Next is the consent agenda. There are 6 items, A through E, on the consent agenda. Is there any council member that wishes to pull a consent agenda item? Okay, I'd like to pull B, please.
What?
D.
B?
Is there any public comment? Okay, with that, is there a motion to approve A, C, D, and E?
So move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
5-0. I pulled B because I was not there at the emergency meeting, and so, I wanted to run that one by itself. So is there a motion to approve consent item number B?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain. 401. Okay. Next is the regular agenda. First, we have adoption of Resolution 1947, ratifying the city administrator's proclamation of local state emergency due to October 9th, 2019 public safety power shutoff. Melissa.
Yes, thank you, council. As you are aware from our emergency meeting, I did declare a local declaration. I believe we have 7 days for council ratification. We have submitted our initial damage estimates to California Office of Emergency Services along with our initial declaration. We do not anticipate the costs to exceed those that we have presented to you originally at our emergency meeting. But we are still, however, gathering all of the actual costs from the emergency. But with that, we hope with this proclamation that should we have the capacity to submit for reimbursement to Cal OES, we would like that opportunity to submit for reimbursement. So that's our intention with this proclamation. It may or may not materialize at this point in time, but we just don't want to miss that opportunity. And we are working with the County Office of Emergency Services. They did not make a formal declaration today, but they did make a staff declaration, and they believe that to, according to their ordinances, give them authority to continue to work with Cal OES. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions from council?
Is there precedent for being reimbursed for these kinds of things? With realistic expectation?
I'm not sure. I think in order to get Cal OES reimbursement, we need a state declaration. I don't know that will be coming. So we do have a conference call with state Cal OES tomorrow at noon. And my last conversation with the county, 12 to 14 counties had submitted declarations of the more than 30. And I think the conversation being that most found it more of an inconvenience than necessarily an emergency on their end. But I think us being a small rural jurisdiction with limited resources, our capacity to respond gets met pretty quickly in terms of overtime and things like that. But 12 of the 14 is what I know to date.
Thanks.
We are, in terms of the previous proclamation we made, the sinkhole, we did submit that to FEMA. We've worked our way through that process. And at this time, I believe we are anticipating reimbursement on those expenses from FEMA. They're evaluating our claims. They've requested additional information, but we think we have satisfied those concerns.
Good.
And I can check with Emily when she gets back to see how confident she is, but we were jumping through the hoops and things were going well, last I checked.
That's great.
Is there any public comment? No? Okay, is there a motion to adopt resolution 1947?
I make a motion to adopt Resolution 1947.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
5-0.
If I might add one more point in terms of the public safety power shutoff. At the sustainability stations that they had throughout the county, we had 72 people attend that one day that our sustainability center was open in the city of Angels. And that was out of 197 countywide. So I thought that was a high number
That
from
is
what
high.
I was expecting to have 72 people go there to charge equipment. Things like that.
And all that was available was emergency power for charging, some water, and what else?
That was it. That was it. And we had 72. They said that was the highest number of the county-provided shelters. The PG&E shelter had more, but of the county-provided shelters, the city had the highest number, was 72.
With that number and that data, is that something that the city can work with the county to find a permanent solution in the future, other than the school? For this location?
I'm glad you brought that up because that conversation with County OES came up today. And it also came up with Destination Angels Camp in terms of coordinating with maybe our churches. And one of the things that we talked with OES is the difficulty in having schools be the source of these sustainability centers and the conflict that it creates with them. And if there's an opportunity countywide for us to work together with Red Cross and other shelter organizers, whereby we potentially look at grant funding or some sort of local funding for an agreement with a local church, where we perhaps do the wiring for the, I forget, that you plug the
generator?
the generator into, which the
Transfer
transfer
switch.
switch. How could I forget the transfer switch? Where, for example, I'm not saying this is the case, but the Catholic Church, if we were to say, had an agreement with them, where they would open it in these emergency situations, we would install the transfer switch and coordinate that with the county so that it fit the type of generator that they have. We could have a ready facility, they would deliver the generator, and maybe in that agreement, we work out some volunteer staffing whereby they can provide that level of support to the community. So County OAS was interested in that because they are definitely feeling, I think what you saw, Amanda, the need to get off of school campuses and find alternative community locations.
What was the reason that the fairgrounds were excluded from consideration? I mean, they're close proximity, plenty of space. Why can't that be considered?
You know, I'm not quite sure why the fairgrounds weren't contacted. I don't know that they were or were not,
I
actually.
mean, it's a separate district, makes their own decisions apart from the county, but, you know, the close proximity makes it attractive, I would think.
The only thing that I don't know, I haven't asked that specific question, but having experienced the Butte fire, they did have that as an emergency shelter location, and then it quickly became an emergency staging area. and then those two things were in conflict. The people that they evacuated there, they then had to evacuate again. So I'm not sure if the county is giving priority order to emergency staging at that location, and it could have been that they just didn't have the time to coordinate with them on that level. That I don't know.
And at the meeting, because PG&E was supposed to set up these relief areas, but they were too overwhelmed. They had the one at Meadowmont, was the only one that PG&E itself set up, right?
Right. And why they chose Meadowmont, I don't know.
What did they have in Valley Springs, just for?
Same as ours.
They were on their own, basically.
They basically, just the shelter, which I think it was a tent, a generator, and some electrical cords. That was all the county was able to provide in all of the communities throughout the county, other than the Arnold area.
Any other?
Is there, one more question?
No, yeah,
about that.
no, go ahead.
Is there, of course there is, there's an after-action process to this, which is ongoing? Now,
Yes.
have you attended the first one yet, or?
I have not, but internally, we do have our after evaluation process scheduled. So we will be doing that next week when everybody's back from training.
Okay.
Given that conversation, is there any public comment? Go ahead, move on to item B. No? Amy?
By the way, it was a great training exercise, that
It was.
emergency. Mayor, council members, you have already had this introduced to you at your prior hearing. It's amendments to Title 16 to streamline processing simple maps, boundary line adjustments, mergers, to allow the surveyor to do it, and to bring us into compliance with the State Subdivision Map Act. We held a public hearing last time. I ask that you open a public hearing this time again for the second, and with that, hopefully recommend that you approve this. Happy to answer any questions if you have any.
If there aren't any council questions, I will open it to public hearing. Any? No? Okay. Opening public hearing, waive second reading and adopt ordinance 489, amending Title 16 of the City of Angels Code to expedite processing mergers and boundary line adjustments. Any public comment? Nope. Okay. Public hearing closed. Is there a motion to approve the adoption of ordinance 489, Title 16?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
5-0. Okay. Another public hearing. Amy?
Madam Mayor, council members, this is our annual, well, not quite annual, update to our California codes. This includes our building code, our fire code, and all the supplemental building codes that go with it. We would like you to waive the first reading, hold a public hearing, and set a second reading for November 5th to adopt ordinance 490. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions before I open the public hearing? Okay. Public hearing open. Is there any public comment? No? Okay. Public hearing closed. Is there a motion to approve? No, this is just the first, waive the first reading. Okay? So is there a motion to, hold a second public hearing set for November 5th, 2019 to adopt ordinance 490?
So moved.
Second. Veronica? All in favor?
Aye.
Next is Resolution 1942, establishing the use hours for Utica Park. Amy?
This does not have a public hearing. We did not circulate it widely to ask for input. If you want that to happen, we can. Basically, what we've had all along is if the police department needed to enforce having somebody who was camping in the park, for example, or if we needed to schedule a time to make sure that we could do irrigation or improvements when people were not in the park, we have no set park hours. So we're asking that you set it from sunrise to sunset. That does not mean you can't use the park after hours. It just means that we ask that you would arrange in advance with City Hall. And otherwise, I don't really have anything to add other than be happy to take questions.
Is there a reason we wouldn't just apply this to all city parks rather than just Utica?
Right.
You could have the same issue elsewhere.
Like
That is correct.
Trial
And Gateway?
and Gateway.
We could bring another resolution back to you and name the other parks also. Not a problem.
Let's do them
Let's do
all.
that. Let's bring it back and
Let's
have
do
all
them
the
all.
posts.
Okay.
Could we go ahead and do this one
Can we amend
and
it?
then bring back the other parks?
Does that mess it up or anything?
Or, Amy, is it possible to just amend
Can
it?
we
we
just
amend
amend it?
Right now?
No,
There's
let's
no
not,
notice
let's not, because we didn't agendize it that way. We only agendized it for Utica Park. So, yeah, I would recommend that you go ahead and do it for Utica. And then we'll just bring it back. It's simple. And we'll add the other two parks. If you could.
Okay, is there any question from the council? Any public comment? No? Okay, is there a motion to adopt resolution 1942 establishing use hours for Utica Park?
So moved.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Next is adoption of resolution 1945 approving the program supplement with Caltrans for roadway safety signing audit, RSSA. Melissa?
Perfect. So the council approved some time ago the project and the programming of the funding for the project. This is, the Council of Governments has moved forward and they've obligated the project. Now the funding is available for us to go receive. And in order to do that, we need to have this signed program supplement agreement on file with Caltrans, and we need a resolution that designates the person responsible for signing the program supplement agreement or the master fund transfer agreement, and that historically has been the mayor. So with that, I recommend that you authorize the signing of the program supplement agreement as attached.
Is there any council question on the resolution? Is there any public comment? No, I think Joe moved it. Is there a second?
So second.
Alvin, Joe and Alvin. All in favor?
Aye.
5-0. Okay, next is adoption of resolution 1946, amending the resolution in support of the city's SB2 grant application. Amy?
Yes, this is deja vu all over again. Basically, they got ready to award us the money for doing housing programs, updating our code, et cetera, and they saw that we had tried to streamline by having our city manager or city administrator sign the grant application, but allowing staff to administer and do the monthly reports. No, that is not allowable. Must have the city administrator's name in both locations. That is what this resolution would do. We recommend that you approve it, and with that, we will submit the resolution, and hopefully they'll start writing us a check. Happy to answer any questions.
And that's all there is to it, just
Yeah,
a
just a
substitution of that
substitute.
word,
That's it.
okay?
Administrator.
Okay. Is there any public comment? No? Okay, is there a motion to approve resolution 1946?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
So, all in favor?
Aye.
5-0.
Aye.
Okay. Next is task orders. Okay, starting, approval of contract task orders between the City of Angels and Drake Callaghan for roadway safety sign audit project, and the Murphy's Grade City Engineering in the amount not to exceed $62,000 and $12,500 respectively. Melissa?
Sure. So the city has funding available from the states and feds for both of these projects. We just signed the program supplement agreement for the roadway safety sign audit. So now this is authorizing Drake Hedlund to move forward with the first phases of that project. And then task order number 5 is for the Murphy's Grade Road. We are losing the funding in November, and so whatever's unspent is lost. And so they do have some additional time that they're able to contribute to that project. So our goal is to make sure that we're utilizing effectively those funds and making sure that they're getting the work done on that project. So those are the 2 task orders, and then hopefully that is it for a while because we have some work to complete now.
Is this
And quick.
is this an issue of we pay them, we submit for reimbursement through these funds?
Yes, it is.
And we've got our cash flow lined up in such a way that we can withstand that?
So we are having, I've asked Emily to do that in her evaluation for this upcoming year, is a cash flow analysis. Right now, we're fine, but as we do this CIP ramp up and the spend down on the water wastewater side, and then these big state highway construction projects, she will be evaluating that. These are smaller scales, and typically we're reimbursed within 45 days of submitting the invoice.
That's it, okay. 45 days.
And Emily does monitor these quite closely with the support of Jen Preston in the Community Development Office.
Okay.
Any other council questions, comments? Any public comment? Okay, bring it back for a motion to approve the 2 contract task orders.
So move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
5-0. Next is contract orders between the City of Angels and Drake Halligan, again, for the W 1.0 project, Management Oversight Services.
So the first one is the task order to wrap up and oversee the work of Blackwater Engineering. I believe that they're looking at some alternatives to be analyzed for that project. They've identified the total cost estimate as well as the action items. And then the other one is something that we've identified in budget, which is the dam break mapping emergency action plan that we're required to have. And Chris's goal is to make sure that this is completed before the end of the year. And as he's got it, oh, actually, it's January 2021. But he does have it budgeted in this fiscal year. And I think there will be more task orders coming for water and wastewater as they move those projects forward.
Yeah, I missed that.
Good. And I'm sorry we didn't get a staff report because we ran out of time with the PSPS.
So what's the
There's
20,
two-
there's
two
20,000 and
task
24,000?
Yeah, so one is for the Blackwater project.
Yep.
And the other one is for
The dam.
The dam action
Okay.
plan.
Okay, so for the dam, is this gonna be a reoccurring with DWR, reoccurring cost with dam safety? And I'm asking because it is UPA, and is that a cost that in the future we need to put into a budget of anticipation?
I don't know,
Okay,
but I will ask.
okay. Okay, because if that's gonna be a reoccurring cost, even if it's every X amount of years,
We could split it
Then-
and budget it.
we can't, yeah, we need to put it into a budget anticipation.
I'm used to, once you do your dam inundation map, you've done your dam inundation map. Unless you're gonna alter
Make it
what you're
bigger.
holding back, it shouldn't change.
But with the,
Not got to do with dam safety in any way, it's just a plan, right?
The emergency action plan. Oh, and mapping. Yeah, once you've done it. Oh, you mean like updates every 5 years?
Yeah.
Right,
Yes.
right, gotcha.
and any other requirement that they're coming down since the Oroville spillway, they've ramped up some of the expectations.
I've got a note, and we will follow back up with you on that one.
Okay.
Susan, do you mind showing that as an action item?
Okay, thank you. And I unfortunately have lost the second part of my page in my packet, so I think you need a motion, right?
on H.
Did we already? Yeah, we need a motion, we haven't done that, okay.
Right.
So is there a motion
public
to
comment
approve,
first.
item H of the approval of the contract task orders for the, W 1.0 project management oversight?
Ellen
Did you
suggesting
need public
there's
comment first?
Oh, I thought I did public comment. Is there
I
any
don't
public
think so,
comment?
did you?
I don't think so.
No, okay. If not, okay,
Now I'll
no
give you-
public comment.
Now I'll give you a motion.
Yeah, so Alvin, moved by Alvin. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Monica, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 5-0. Yes.
Yes.
That's where I was losing my place. Okay, so now we have item, yep, thank you. Okay, now we have item number 7, council report. And I will start to my left with Councilmember McCody.
No meetings, but want to encourage everyone to attend Wild West Fest. Downtown should be good. Lots of fun and excitement.
I have tickets for sale, if anyone.
Buy some gold nugget
Get the
tickets
gold
from
nuggets.
Melissa.
Everybody put your money in. My turn, has nothing to report.
Nothing to report.
I don't have anything to report on meetings, but CPPA does meet tomorrow, and the other one that meets before council comes back together is UWPA. And then finally, I will not be here for the November meeting. I'll be traveling.
November 5th.
Yes.
I had no meetings or anything at this moment, but I would like to say job well done to everybody. It seemed like the power safety, public safety, yeah. It seemed like it went over pretty well as could be. There were no major issues of anything that I know of. There was some little hiccups here and there, but things to take care of. But
Yeah.
good job to everybody, staff-wise and
We let staff know. We were talking with County OAS, and they said this was a good, low-risk, dry run. So we really got to feel for some of our communication infrastructure. We definitely now have tested our generators. We know their run times on the lift stations and the plants. We definitely recognize that when we call for water conservation, the tank fills fast.
Good.
So we learned a lot. It was a good dry run, so thank you.
Good job, everybody. And then next is adjournment. Is there a motion to, oh, no, calendar.
October 16th, IRWMA meets at 9 a.m. and CPPA at 9 a.m. The 17th at 8:30, we have Destination Angels Camp, as well as the Museum Commission meeting. On the 22nd at 5:30, UWPA. We'll go trick-or-treating on the 31st and meet back here on the 5th for council at 6.
Looks like Amy has something.
And on Thursday is the Planning Commission meeting, which was continued from last Thursday.
Thank you. Here at 16.
Okay.
Now, adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay,
Whatever.
all in favor?
Aye.
Was it Linda and Joe?
Jen,
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.